Your phone buzzing late at night. You check the screen and it's her, your ex. Not with a long apology, not with a deep confession. Just a short, seemingly harmless message. Hey, I heard this song today and it reminded me of you. To the untrained eye, it's nothing. To the man who understands female behavior, it's the first thread she's pulling to see if the whole sweater will unravel. When a woman wants you back, she rarely kicks the door down with a grand declaration. Instead, she slips in quietly, testing how much space she still holds in your mind. It could be through a memory, a random encounter, or an innocent question about something she could have easily Googled. On the surface, it's casual. Underneath, it's strategic. This is where men make their biggest mistake. They think the contact means she's changed, that she's ready to rebuild what was lost. But more often than not, it's about curiosity, ego, or the fear of seeing you move on without her. If you take it at face value, without understanding the deeper intention, you risk stepping right back into the same emotional trap you worked so hard to escape. The truth is, a woman's actions are far more telling than her words, especially when she wants to re-enter your life. And if you can't read those signs, you won't just lose your footing, you'll lose your control over where this relationship goes next. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 things a woman will almost always do when she wants you back. Some are obvious, but others are so subtle you won't notice them unless you know exactly what to look for. By the end, you'll understand not just the signs, but also how to respond in a way that puts you in control of the outcome. 1. She shows up where you are. When a woman wants you back, one of the easiest ways for her to reconnect without directly admitting it is to be physically present in your world again. She knows that proximity opens the door for conversation, shared moments, and old feelings to creep back in. It's not always about deep emotional longing. It can be as simple as wanting to test her influence over you, to see if she still has a place in your life. This doesn't mean she's stalking you. It can start small, showing up at places she knows you like to hang out, joining events she knows your friends will attend, or even bumping into you at the gym she never used to go to. She's creating situations where you'll notice her without her having to make the first verbal move. Here's the subtle part. She'll make it seem like it's just coincidence. She'll act surprised, maybe even say, "Oh, I didn't know you'd be here." But the odds of it being truly random are slim if it happens more than once. Women are strategic when it comes to re-entering a man's life. They'll plan, they'll time it, and they'll position themselves exactly where they know it will have the most emotional impact. A perfect example of this can be seen in movies like Serendipity, where the chance meetings keep happening, making it feel like fate. In real life, it's often not fate, it's intent. And if she's making the effort to put herself in your line of sight, it's a clear signal she's trying to reopen that channel of connection. Why does this matter? Because presence changes the game. Text messages can be ignored, calls can be avoided, but face-to-face encounters hit differently. When she's right there in front of you, looking her best and smiling like nothing happened, it's harder to separate emotions from logic. That's exactly why she does it. Because it blurs the line between the past and the present, making it easier for old feelings to resurface. The key for you is to recognize the move for what it is. A deliberate attempt to re-establish her presence in your life. Whether you choose to engage or keep your distance depends on your goals, but awareness is your advantage. Once you understand this isn't coincidence, you can decide how much influence you want to give her presence. If she's showing up where you are more than once, it's not an accident, it's an invitation. The question is whether you want to accept it. 2. She flirts through jealousy. When a woman wants you back, one of the oldest and most effective tools she can use is jealousy. It's not always about making you feel bad, it's about making you feel something. If she can spark an emotional reaction in you, she knows she still has space in your mind. And if she still occupies your thoughts, then she's halfway to getting back into your life. This type of flirting is subtle, but calculated. She might post pictures with another guy, maybe a friend, maybe not, knowing you'll see it. She might mention someone new in passing, without giving too many details, just enough to make you wonder. Or she could do it in person, by being a little more physically playful with others when she knows you're watching. What makes this tactic powerful is that it's indirect. She's not saying she wants you back outright. She's planting a seed and letting you water it with your own imagination. In your mind, you start asking questions. Who is that guy? Is she moving on? Does she even think about me anymore? That uncertainty is exactly the effect she's going for. Women know that jealousy isn't just about feeling replaced, it's about feeling your importance slip away. And for someone who once had a significant place in your life, it's a way to see if they can still trigger that protective, competitive instinct in you. If you react by texting her, asking questions, or showing visible signs of irritation, she'll see it as confirmation that you still care. It's also a way for her to shift the power dynamic. If the breakup happened on her terms, she may want to re-enter with control still in her hands. Making you jealous lets her feel like she's the one who decides when and how the reconnection happens. And if she was the one who got hurt or left unexpectedly, it can be her way of regaining confidence by proving she can still get a rise out of you. The reality is, this behavior can be incredibly manipulative, even if it's not consciously malicious. Jealousy can cloud judgment and push men into making emotional decisions instead of logical ones. That's why recognizing it early is so important. If you don't see it for what it is, you might mistake it for genuine interest or proof she's moving on, when in reality, it's her way of pulling you back into the game. When you spot jealousy flirting, the best thing you can do is control your reaction. Not every display requires a response. In fact, sometimes the most powerful move is to act unaffected. If she's trying to gauge whether you still have feelings, nothing throws her off more than realizing her efforts aren't shaking your confidence. Jealousy is emotional bait. If you bite, you're playing by her rules. If you recognize it and stay in control, you're playing by yours. 3. She rewrites the breakup story. When a woman wants you back, she may start changing the way she talks about the breakup. The version of events she told before, especially to you or mutual friends, might suddenly sound softer, more forgiving, or even completely different. This isn't just about nostalgia. It's about reshaping the past in a way that makes reconnecting with you seem more reasonable and less awkward. You might notice her downplaying the conflicts that once felt huge, brushing off the arguments that seemed like deal breakers, or even taking partial responsibility for things she once fully blamed on you. She's not doing this for historical accuracy. She's doing it because she knows the past is the biggest obstacle to any second chance. If she can change the way you both remember it, she can change the way you feel about moving forward. This often comes with carefully chosen words. Phrases like, "I guess it wasn't all bad," or "we had our issues, but we also had some good times." These are designed to make the breakup feel less like a permanent separation and more like a temporary misunderstanding. The goal is to get you to remember the relationship in a warmer light, even if the reality wasn't as pleasant as the new narrative suggests. It's similar to when someone flips through old photos and skips the bad memories, focusing only on the smiles and good moments. By selecting and retelling certain parts of the story, she's rewriting the emotional script. And if she can get you to agree with her new version, whether silently or out loud, she's already planting the idea that maybe the two of you weren't as broken as you thought. The shift in tone is important. In the early days after a breakup, the story might have been filled with blame, frustration, and reasons why it could never work again. But when she wants you back, those sharp edges get smoothed out. The arguments become miscommunications, the incompatibilities become things we could have worked on, and the breakup itself becomes a phase rather than a final decision. This change isn't just for your benefit, it's for hers too. By softening the breakup story, she makes it easier for herself to re-enter your life without feeling like she's betraying her own pride. It also allows her to save face in front of mutual friends or family members who might question why she's reconnecting with you if she once painted the relationship as completely unfixable. If you start hearing a gentler version of your shared history, understand that it's rarely just casual reflection. It's positioning. She's setting the stage for reconnection by making the past look less damaging than it actually was. The more you buy into it, the easier it becomes for her to step back into your life without resistance. The real question is whether you see it as truth or strategy. Because once the story changes, the emotions attached to it often follow. And that's exactly what she's counting on. 4. She uses mutual friends as messengers. Sometimes the easiest way for someone to slip back into your life is by using the people who are already in it. Shared friends can become the perfect bridge, passing along bits of information, asking casual questions, or dropping your name into conversations without it seeming deliberate. It's a way to be present without showing up directly. It can start quietly. A friend might mention they saw her recently and she asked about you. On the surface, it's nothing serious, but there's a purpose behind it. She's testing the waters, trying to find out what kind of space she still occupies in your mind. And by going through someone you know, she avoids the risk of being turned away outright. This indirect approach gives her the ability to control the image she's sending. Through mutual friends, she can share pieces of her life that sound positive or intriguing, things she knows will reach you eventually. It's a way of sparking curiosity and planting small ideas without needing to have an actual conversation with you. There's also a protective layer built into this move. If you respond warmly when her name comes up, that message will travel back to her quickly. If you seem indifferent or uninterested, she can pull back without losing face, because technically, she never contacted you herself. It's a safe way to measure your reaction before deciding whether to step closer. The more her name appears in your conversations with others, the harder it is to ignore her presence. Even if you're not speaking directly, the reminder is constant, keeping her in your thoughts and giving her an advantage if she decides to make a move. This is why it's such an effective tactic. It puts her back on your radar without breaking any obvious boundaries. What you need to pay attention to is frequency. If her name suddenly starts coming up often, especially in ways that hint at her personal life, her mood, or how she's been reflecting on the past, it's usually intentional. Whether the friend is aware of it or not, they're carrying a message. Recognizing this pattern is important because it shifts the decision back into your hands. You can choose to engage, give neutral responses, or close off the conversation entirely. Mutual friends might be her path to re-entry, but only you decide if she gets past the doorway. 5. She drops accidental memories. One of the most subtle ways she can start pulling at your emotions again is by bringing up memories. Specifically, ones that make you feel connected, nostalgic, or even a little sentimental. These memories aren't shared randomly. They're chosen carefully because they remind you of a time when things between you felt good, exciting, and alive. It might be something she says in passing, like referencing an inside joke you both had, a place you used to visit, or a conversation that once meant a lot to you. The way it's delivered is just as important as the memory itself. She'll present it as if it simply came to mind, when in reality, it's a calculated way to get you to relive an emotion from the past. 6. Decide if you even want her back. Before you make any move, you have to get brutally honest with yourself. The fact that she's showing signs of wanting to reconnect doesn't mean you have to welcome her back. Attention can feel good, especially if it's coming from someone you once cared about, but feeling flattered is not the same as making the right choice for your future. This is the point where you strip away the emotion and look at the reality of the relationship for what it was. Not just the good moments, but the challenges, the patterns, and the reasons it ended in the first place. If those reasons haven't changed, no amount of charm or nostalgia will stop history from repeating itself. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of unfinished business. You might feel like giving it another try could bring closure or prove something to yourself. But sometimes going back isn't closure. It's reopening a wound. You need to ask yourself whether you genuinely see a future with her or if you're reacting to the excitement of her renewed interest. Think about what's different now compared to before. Has she shown actual growth in the areas that caused problems? Have you changed in ways that would make the relationship stronger? Or are you both the same people, just circling back out of habit, loneliness, or curiosity? This decision also comes down to your priorities. If you've been building momentum in your life, focusing on your goals, improving yourself, and maintaining peace, bringing her back in could either add to that progress or completely derail it. Relationships can be fulfilling, but they can also consume energy, focus, and emotional stability if they're not in the right place. If the motivation isn't genuine connection, then you might find yourself back in a situation where her attention fades as soon as her temporary feelings pass. The point is, you hold the choice here. Just because she's making moves doesn't mean you have to respond in kind. The most powerful position you can be in is one where you decide from a place of clarity, not from pressure, not from guilt, and not from the thrill of being wanted. Once you've taken the time to be clear with yourself, whatever choice you make will come from strength rather than impulse. That's how you protect your peace and ensure that any step forward, whether with her or without her, is truly in your best interest. Another thing to consider is whether her return is truly about you or if it's about her own needs. Sometimes a person reaches out because they miss you. Other times, it's because they're feeling lonely, bored, or insecure. 7. Control the pace, don't rush in. If she's showing signs that she wants you back, the worst thing you can do is jump in headfirst without thinking. Moving too quickly gives her all the control and puts you right back into the emotional patterns that might have caused problems before. It's tempting to feel like you've won because she's showing interest again, but that's not the end goal. The real goal is building something solid, or deciding it's not worth building at all. You need to slow things down. Take the time to observe her actions, not just her words. Anyone can say they've changed, but change is proven through consistent behavior over time. If she's serious, she'll respect your pace. If she pushes you to rush back into things, that's a red flag you can't afford to ignore. Here's where some constructive criticism comes in. Too many men treat a woman's return as validation that they're good enough now. They drop their standards the moment she shows interest, forgetting all the self-work they've done since the breakup. You can't let the excitement of her coming back erase the progress you've made. That's not strength. That's emotional amnesia. You have to remember, you're not the same person you were when you split. You've grown, learned, and hopefully built a life that isn't dependent on her. If you let yourself get swept away too quickly, you risk undoing all of that. Part of being a man in control is protecting the life you've created, not just reacting to someone else's timeline. Think of this stage like negotiating a deal. You don't sign the contract the moment it's put in front of you. You review the terms, make sure it benefits you, and only then decide if it's worth agreeing to. Relationships are no different. You set the pace to make sure it's built on real change, not a wave of temporary emotions. And don't forget to check your own motives. Are you going slow because you want to truly rebuild something better? Or are you just scared of being hurt again? Are you holding the pace to protect yourself? Or are you using it to test her commitment? Being honest about your reasons will help you stay in control without falling into games. If she's genuinely serious about getting back together, she'll match your pace instead of trying to control it. If she loses interest because you're not moving fast enough, that's your answer. It wasn't about real connection, it was about the chase. Bottom line, you call the shots now. Take time to assess her intentions, protect your progress, and decide on terms that work for you. This isn't about punishing her or playing hard to get. It's about making sure that if you do let her back in, it's on a foundation that's stronger than before. Slow, deliberate steps now will save you from fast, messy regrets later. At the end of the day, knowing these signs isn't just about figuring out whether she wants you back. It's about figuring out whether you even want her back. That's the part most men miss. They focus so much on reading her actions that they forget to check in with their own intentions. If you skip that step, you risk making the same mistakes twice. Here's something that might be uncomfortable to hear. Sometimes a woman's return has nothing to do with love and everything to do with ego. That's why your job isn't just to notice her moves, it's to see through them. If she's back for the right reasons, great. But if she's back for the wrong ones, you need to be ready to protect your time, your energy, and your peace. You've worked hard to become the man you are now. Don't throw that away just because someone from your past is knocking on the door. Slow it down, stay in control, and make choices that serve your future, not your momentary emotions. I want to hear from you. Have you experienced any of these signs before? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments. I read them, and I'll respond because these conversations matter. Your experiences might just help another man who's in the middle of this right now. Remember, the power isn't in whether she wants you back. The power is in whether you decide she's worth letting back in. The choice has always been yours. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.